Wait, you have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV.
Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hey everybody, welcome to TV Guidance Counselor. I'm Ken Reed, as always, your TV Guidance Counselor, with an extra episode this week. You know, and it's not really extra. It's bonus. It's not even bonus. It's what you deserve. Welcome to episode 450 of the show. I've been doing this show for almost exactly 7 years. We are on year 8 now, 2021. I know TV Guidance Counselor superfans that this is not technically number 450 because there are a number of episodes that I did not number, as well as some specials and things. But this is episode 450, and I cannot think of a better guest than my guest for this episode. My guest is Tyler Spencer, who you may know better as Dick Valentine, frontman of the Electric Six. Yes, they of Danger, Danger, High Voltage, Gay Bar, Down to McDonald's, I Buy the Drugs. There's so many great songs that they've done. He's incredibly funny, super talented. If you are not on the Electric Six wagon, hop on that thing because they're great. They've been doing, we talk about it here, but he's been doing a lot of streaming acoustic shows that are very good. He actually did a great solo acoustic record a few years ago. And they've been doing live full band shows online during pandemic, and it's great. Or pandemers, as I can't stop calling it, which is a whole other story, but I'll get into that at a later date. As I said, super funny guy, smart guy, amazingly talented. This is almost 1 year of me doing the show exclusively remote, so take of that what you will. But it has opened up my guests to people who are not right in front of me or in the same city as me, and Tyler is one of them. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Tyler Spencer, aka Dick Valentine of the Electric Six.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live via satellite, you may know him as Mr. Dick Valentine of the Electric Six. Tyler Spencer, how are you, sir?
Oh yeah, I'm great. I feel like $1 million. This is fantastic. In the pandemic, I've been a guest on many podcasts. I have my own podcast as well, so it's the way to get out there now. You can't play live shows. You have to talk.
But you guys have got around it. You've done a bunch of 4 or 5 streaming shows, I think, right?
The band has done 3 streaming shows. I've been doing a ton of acoustic shows. There's a website called stageit.com. You can just play out of your living room, and it's worked really well for me. I mean, it's cliche, but we have to adapt, and adapting's been fun. Yeah, it's I haven't come down with the COVID yet, so I can use the word fun. But
is that? I think that was in the CARES Act. If you have it, you can't say fun anymore. If we want any of the money. This show I've always done face to face, and I usually travel. I'm down in New York doing shows, or in LA, and banking episodes. So I've had to rejigger everything and do them via the internet. But it's worked.
Cool. Yeah. No, I mean, and we could. It's a separate conversation, but Zoom stock. It was. I'm a huge believer in that. They say that you should buy stock where the name of the company is a verb, right?
Yeah.
Like Google. And now Zoom. And even though Zoom has tanked since there's been a vaccine, it's going to rebound. So my advice to you, young man, and all the people listening is load up on that. And as a Zoom shareholder myself, if you buy Zoom, then my shares go up. Yeah,
so that works out for you. And also, I don't know if that advice works for the company Murder that I purchased a bunch of stocks in, but I'm waiting. Fingers crossed. It was true.
Yeah.
So we were.
That was a test. I was waiting to see how quick you are. I wanted to see where
Did I pass?
I'm trying to feel out where various mind traps I might step in.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, no, I haven't. This is not a trap. I have not lured you here to get you into some sort of
I already feel safe.
Yeah, excellent. This is a safe zone. Everyone's fine. And to prove it's a safe zone, this issue is October 6th to the 11th, 1991, and nowhere but a safe zone would the cover of this TV guide be allowed to exist.
Oh yeah, and this was the the fashion, as I recall, like the do's and don'ts and best dress, worst dress. I've got a few thoughts on that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird time. Okay, so I mean, personally, October 1991, I was a sophomore at University of Michigan. And I think that, in your head, you've already moved out of the 80s. And for me, like going from high school to university, that's, it was a very clear that decade break. But like you realize looking at this TV guide that the early 90s were still part of the 80s.
Absolutely.
Like, the same, the ethos. It wasn't until Nirvana changed everything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always say like the 80s didn't start till about 84 because that weird like 78 to 83, which I call the beige age.
Sure, yeah.
It's not quite the 80s we think of. Yeah, and the 80s was into 91, and it is evident here on the cover where we have Sharon Gless, who's dressed like, I guess, the Joker.
Can I back up though? If you're putting out a theory that like decades don't truly reset till about the third or fourth year, and the pandemic started in 2020, you see where I'm going with that?
Yes, and it is a dark vision, but I think you're correct because even the 50s, like I always say, the 50s went till like 63 when JFK got shot, like those, and then you get that weird hippie 60s after. But yeah, so I mean, we may be
all the more reason to load up on Zoom stock.
Exactly. Buy that Zoom, kids. Click the link to get Zoom stock. But yeah, I mean, she's got like. She's a little bit dressed like she's in the Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah. I mean, I had to be reminded who Sharon Gless was. I mean, she was in a cop show?
Yeah, she was in Cagney and Lacey. And then if you were a fan of 2000 series Burn Notice, she played Michael's mother.
Yeah, no, I mean, scrolling through this issue, it is amazing, like how much I've forgotten. I mean, obviously, a lot of things stick with you, and it was fairly easy for me to come up with my viewing for the week. But yeah, the big takeaway is just that 1991 truly was still part of the 80s.
Absolutely. And you were in college, but were you watching a lot of TV, or were you playing in bands then yet?
So that was kind of my awakening for music. I'm a late bloomer in everything in life, and that includes songwriting and playing guitar. So at that point, I'm 19, 20 years old, and I'm just starting to learn how to play guitar, just starting how to write lyrics at that point. I'd been in a band and was a drummer. I started on drums and got kicked out of the band for being a shitty drummer. And what I realized then was that all the power in a band, the power dynamic lies with being a front man, being a songwriter, and so I'm never going to be a drummer again. I'm not going to get fired. I'm going to fire. And then I did.
I mean, hey, that's exactly what Morris Day did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Buddy Rich could be the drummer who fired people, but he was the only one. So,
have you ever heard this is totally off topic, but there was a jazz drummer who used to dress up like Dracula in the 50s?
That sounds good to me. I mean, sign me up.
He put out a whole album called like Jazz with Dracula. And it's not enough. Like the guy was really serious, and he's like, the cover's him playing drums, and he would do this bad like Bela Lugosi and be like, "Hey, I want to suck your blood," and then it would be like, "Biddy boop boppity beep." It was the weirdest shit.
That's why if you have an idea, record it. If you have an idea, be that Dracula. And to be honest, we put out Gay Bar as a 7-inch single, pressed up 1,000 copies in 1996. And I thought that those 1,000, that was going to be Gay Bar. Like in 30 years from now, somebody would be at a record store and find this and go like, look at this. I thought that was going to be the legacy of this band. So that's the thing. Even if it doesn't go on to make you a career or something, just record it, put it out there. 30 years from now, somebody will be talking about your Jazz with Dracula. That's why you do this.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. So.
It's all Jazz Draculas. Before we get into the shows proper here, you had some thoughts on the best and worst dressed, you said.
Yeah, let me go down to the notes here. Yeah, I mean, just a couple. I wanted to give a shout out, just the fact that Ann Magnuson is in there. She is, she's one of my heroes. She's super cool. Like you look at her work with Bongwater, and just an amazing singer, and just Bongwater was one of my favorite acts from that era. And then she goes on to be in TV shows. Yeah. And to me, that's kind of like I'm that person. It's like you can exist in the being like an indie rocker and below ground, and then she's doing this like above ground like on network television, and like she can exist in both worlds. And that's like, I've always, I'm yet to exist in network television, but I could do it.
We can make it happen. Yeah, Ann's a friend. I've had Ann on the show, and Ann is amazing. Like, she played Lillian Munster in a made-for-TV movie.
Right.
The same year she's doing a weird art project.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've always when I was a teenager, really like arty people, like I was like, wow, they're arty, and like you realize they're probably more normal than normal people. It's like it's just and you can learn how to exist. You can play 18 holes of golf, and then you can do something super weird, and so it's just you can live your life that way, and I think it's a good yin and yang, and so she's done it. So she's a hero of mine. What else? The fact that they put Blair Underwood up against Andy Griffith and made that. That's like that's like having like saying, oh, the best New England Patriots, and then the worst junior high 8th grade football,
the Missoula, Montana Pop Warner High School football team.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like Blair Underwood versus Andy Griffith. I mean, that's amazing. That's devious. That's cunning. That's entertaining. That's pointless. It's strategic. It's a total waste of time, total waste of print, total waste of resources, and it's unforgettable.
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah. Like the fact that somebody did that, made this. You're investing money in deciding who's best and worst dressed on television, and then you take it one step further and you put Blair Underwood versus Andy Griffith. That's insane.
Now I'm just picturing a world where they're mortal enemies in everything. Like it's Blair Underwood versus Andy Griffith. They're up against each other for Emmys. They're doing charity boxing matches. They've married each other's ex-wives. Like it's a whole thing. Like, damn you, Underwood, Griffith.
It's like The Prestige, but it's like, that's fantastic. I love that. So those were kind of my takeaways from that.
And I do want to mention Ann was named worst dressed in this, and
that's the role she played. I mean,
exactly.
That's in the TV Guide world. It's like it's like your boomer aunts and uncles. I don't like that, and I like that show if it wasn't for that weirdo, like that kind of thing.
She's a bit kooky. And
yeah.
The person that was named best opposite her is designing women's Dixie Carter.
I'm not fronting. I'll get to that later because I chose the designing women for one of my shows, and I'm not fronting on that.
I love designing women, but it's not quite Andy Griffith and Blair Underwood, but Ann Magnuson and Dixie Carter, not in the same world.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you just how the fact that anyone's taking time, money, resources to do this is incredible.
It's true.
Like the budget, this could feed like 20 people who would need food right now. Instead, they're using that money to do a best and worst dressed in a TV Guide.
I mean, it was the biggest, it was the most published magazine in the entire world at this time.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
They were commissioning artwork for tens of thousands of dollars, to have a little teeny square cartoon drawing of Pierce Brosnan. It was
looking at, and then of course the back cover was a Marlboro ad, and you just never see that now,
Yeah. There's all kinds of weird cigarettes in here that I'd never heard of too. Like there's one on a little bit after the best and worst called Bull Durham.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've never once been a smoker. So I don't know I don't know the minor leagues of tobacco, but it's just, I guess it's, that's before the microbrews and, things like that. This is you get trying to one up big tobacco and be like craft tobacco. Maybe that's the way. Maybe
that's what you should invest in the future. Craft tobacceries.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a weird day trader, and the thing is, once I did have a position in a tobacco company. Just all I saw was this stock's on fire. I was like, I'm going to buy this stock. It's on fire. And then I realized it was some shitty tobacco company. And I was like, sell.
It was ironically on fire. What's the most the biggest, if you don't mind sharing, the biggest weird risk you took on a day trade? You're like, this thing going to be huge. And then you're just like, man, that was, your Beanie Babies.
Oh yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, it's funny you say that. I actually, I took a risk earlier this year, and the stock tanked, and I just, I couldn't take it. I got out of it, and then I checked back on it like 2 days ago, and it did what I want. It was already, it was where I was hoping it would go. And so I didn't mean to make this about day trading, but that's another thing I've done in the pandemic. It's because it's right there. It's at your fingertips.
Yeah,
and you can just push buttons and move money around, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's like
I recommend it for anybody.
Children,
right in there and
grandma, whatever. Take your whole money. That also reminds me of, because there's ads in here for like the Franklin Mint and like the weird like commemorative plates and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
There was a guy a few years ago who, if you remember those ads that always be like, although we can't guarantee a commemorative plate from 1986 was sold for 3 times its original value. Some guy took his whole retirement and bought tons of that shit, like the weird, chess sets that look like the cast of Give Me a Break, and all that stuff. And then it was worth nothing. And he tried to sue the Franklin Mint for basically like investor fraud.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love these stories. That's cool.
So don't do that.
No, I won't. Don't worry about it.
You know more what you're doing with your money than I do, certainly, as you can probably tell by looking at the room I'm in. So anything else before you got to Saturday night? Anything else that struck your fancy in the articles?
I don't have them exactly in front of me, but I did find that the letters to TV Guide, specifically about Northern Exposure and Twin Peaks, that seemed to be like the hot topic that people, this again, on just a general level, that people are taking time to I'm going to write a letter. And this is before email. So it's like you're literally you're mailing a letter in, and it's like, I got something to say about this Northern Exposure show.
Yeah.
It's and it's crazy to me that people would do that, but in the internet age, fame is much more attainable, as you know. With people blowing up on Instagram. Before that, you'd have to write a letter to the TV Guide to get noticed. And so I understand that.
And you had 10 chances to stop.
Yeah.
You got to get a pen. You got to walk to the mailbox. You got to find at any point there, you could be like, what am I doing? I need to stop.
Yeah, exactly. This. Yeah. But that was interesting. And then there was, as I recall, there was somebody who felt burnt by Twin Peaks because they found out that the writers didn't have it all. They were making it up as they went along. And so they felt burnt. And that's just...
But it's if you enjoyed it, who cares? Yeah.
I trusted you.
This is the letter. It's Mary Batson from Rachel, West Virginia. And she says, I was one of the many fans of Twin Peaks who were fooled into watching week after week, taking episodes, even taking notes.
Well, you have to with that show, but fooled. I mean, that's a very strong, and it's just silly, but I mean, it's entertaining to read that, just to see that people are, thinking about it that seriously and taking the time to write letters. It's very strange.
Have you ever written a letter to a magazine or anything like that?
No.
No fan letters or anything as a kid?
No. No. I had a professor at University of Michigan who, published some sort of academic piece and cited Barry Manilow lyric in it, and he was so happy that Barry Manilow actually wrote a letter to this article when he found out about it, because he was upset with this guy. You got this all wrong, man. And so he got a letter from Barry Manilow, saying, look, I am Barry Manilow. Here's what you did wrong. Here's why you're wrong. And then he ended it with something if there's 2 things that could be going on here. If I'm misinterpreting this, then I owe this a professor an apology. But if I'm not, pardon my Brooklynese. Fuck him.
Because even it's the opposite side of that respect for someone having to go that far to write a letter. Barry Manilow had to have a clipping service, send that to him and find it, and then had to go.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and it was probably October 1991. It was around that time. Now that reminds me, you're a comedian. Do you know? Are you familiar with the Sklar Brothers?
Yes.
Yeah, they were those guys they were both English majors at the same time I was. I had probably 7 classes with the Sklar Brothers. So, yeah, they were around, and they were nice guys, really nice guys. I followed the comedy a little bit. I know one of them was in a great Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Oh,
They fill in for Jim Rome and stuff. So yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about those guys.
Were you ever drawn to doing comedy stuff? Because obviously, like, you have a very strong comedic bent to a lot of the songs that you've done, and you're very funny. But like, was that ever?
I've thought about it, but I mean, things went the way they went. I don't have a lot of time. It's something I would like to do, but I don't know. The cliche that also stand-up comedians, like the good ones, just are just obsessed with it, and I've never been an obsessive compulsive person. I mean, I've been. Do you feel like you're obsessive compulsive? Or?
No, well, not for comedy. But yeah, no, the people who do comedy, because when I was in bands, the people in bands were not as obsessive. The comedy people are insane.
Yeah,
like they're like, well, I gotta go do stage time. It's like, but it's in the middle of a pandemic. There's literally bombs dropping. Yeah, I gotta get 5 minutes in. It's like no one will watch it. Oh, I gotta do it.
I was on a television show, and another guest was a comedian, and he was just, we were in the green room, and he was just always on, and it was like, and I realized, I was like, I don't want to be like you, he just was not like, he was not, and maybe there's a way to do that, but it just seems to me like a lot of comedians are just always on, always thinking about it, and I'm not going to be that person. So I don't know. I would love to try it someday. I have a good friend who started later in life, and it's changed his life. It's like it's what he should have been doing for a long time. Yeah,
there's a way to approach it and not be totally consumed by it. But I think for a lot of people, it's like, you know, those kids that you went to college with that freshman year, they clearly reinvented themselves and were like obsessed with this new version of themselves that was a fabrication. Yeah. That's a lot of comedy. Like comedy is their freshman year of college, essentially.
Yeah, I understand that. It's like anything, but yeah, it's something that I had, I probably could do and would enjoy doing, but would need to find the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, this will be like talking in between songs, and you get a laugh, and then it's not, but it's not totally dissimilar.
Yeah, I mean, I got pretty okay at like stage banter. Just the fact that our original lineup, didn't have tuning pedals, and so there's a lot of time spent on stage just tuning, and then they'd be like, say something. So I just kind of learned how to do that, like, by default. But
I have seen like Speed of the Purse Was Always On, or like has the weird shtick. Like I remember maybe the third time I saw Social Distortion, which, hey, my fault. Yeah. But I realized that Mike Ness had like written out stage banter, like line for line.
That's cool.
But I was like, this is weird that he's doing like a play on stage here.
Yeah, I like that. I that never even occurred to me to write up the stage banner, but I might try that. Well, here's another joke for you.
Yeah. Have you ever heard someone put out a bootleg in the 70s called Messing Around on Stage with Elvis? And it's just Elvis's stage banter. It's insane. It's great.
Those are great. Like when you take, like, there's one of those for Kiss. There's it's just Paul Stanley over. You like vodka?
Or David Lee Roth. There's a great one where just like, what's happening? Elvis is all non sequiturs, and one of my favorite things he does is he has a vocal tick where if he doesn't know how to end a sentence, he just says plus tax.
Really?
Yeah, so he'll be like, there's next song, plus tax. Because it must have been in some commercial or something.
Oh my God, that's great.
But it's great. Saturday night, what struck your fancy here?
Okay, so I think this is the only one that's a tie where I literally couldn't figure it out. But it's from between 8 and 9. The first thing I think this wins the tiebreaker, the 1991 Hartford Wailers season preview.
Okay.
And then you got up against Who's the Boss and Growing Pains. Now, I think I go with the way, to me, I was way into hockey as, watching Hockey Night in Canada. I grew up in Detroit, so it was always, and what I really enjoyed about hockey was this, the medium to small market teams like Hartford and Edmonton and all these places that didn't have a basketball team. And I became really intrigued by that. I wanted to visit Hartford just because of the Wailers, and I used to think it would be amazing to be a member of the Wailers and just have local fame, that kind of thing. And so the Wailers always intrigued me. And it was also where Gordy Howe he played his last professional game so he could be in 5 decades of professional hockey or something like that. and now they no longer exist. I think they're the Hurricanes now, right? Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Right, and it's all. And I think it's the only professional team Connecticut's ever had. So, you watch it, and the uniforms are amazing. I love the colors. I love the logo. It's and I couldn't name a 1991 Whaler, but yeah.
I mean, it was nice of them after Bob Marley died to move on to hockey, which I thought was pretty impressive and a versatile.
I didn't see that coming.
I had to do it. I apologize. But Edmonton, especially like it's such a small rural place. Yeah, it doesn't have. It's a little bit of fame in a small place. Well,
I mean, what I know, because since the band's never played in Hartford, but we played in Edmonton a lot, and just know that the Oilers, I mean, they rule the town, and so like White Avenue in Edmonton is like everyone's like, oh yeah, like the Oilers, they hang out at this bar, and and those guys they just if you're an Edmonton Oiler, you just must fuck 24/7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that's all you're doing. You're in Edmonton, you're playing hockey, and you're fucking.
So it was Wayne Gretzky's team, right? Gretzky was on.
Yeah.
I apologize to the listeners because I've told this story before, but you may enjoy this. When I had Fee Wavell of the Tubes on, he was talking about they opened for David Bowie on the Serious Moonlight tour in like '83 or '84 or something, and first of all, Fee goes, David Bowie really loved me a little too much. But I guess Wayne Gretzky was like a massive Tubes fan. Oh, cool. And so he followed the band like the whole tour to see them play. So they were in Edmonton, and there's nothing open in Edmonton except this Greek restaurant. Like nothing else is open. It's after the show. There's like no place cool to go. And Wayne Gretzky hung out with this rich guy that called himself Big Bucks Bob. Uh-huh. And he's like, I don't know what he was rich for. I have no idea. So it's Gretzky, Big Bucks Bob, Fee Waybill, and David Bowie in this Greek restaurant in rural Edmonton.
In Edmonton.
Yeah. And Fee goes, I don't know what was up with Big Bucks Bob, but he went nuts and he started throwing money in the air and yelling, I'm Big Bucks Bob. I'm Big Bucks Bob. And then he started taking people's food and just throwing it on the floor. And he's like, and me and Bowie and Gretzky are like, what the fuck is going on? And Gretzky goes, he does this. He goes, I mean, he paid for everyone's food, but it was really weird.
Oh my God. Wayne Gretzky and David Bowie yeah.
Oh, that's the life we live. Yeah. Who's the Boston Growing Pains? You didn't miss much by not watching them this night. Both those shows, this was their last season. They had been on Wednesdays before, and they kind of put them in this graveyard slot of Saturday nights where, I mean, no one's home watching these things. So you didn't really miss much here.
I mean, in the 80s, okay, I watched a lot of Growing Pains. I was immediately when I was like 13, 14, I wanted to be Mike Seaver. Don't want to be Mike Seaver now.
No, nobody does.
But also that theme song that Alan Thicke, I guess, wrote and sang. It's a really good theme song. So I like Growing Pains as a young teen. Kind of obsessed with Tony Danza. He's an intriguing figure to me. I know that he did not like Andy Kaufman on Taxi. Like, he didn't get the joke. Did not like being around this weirdo. So that made Tony Danza all the more intriguing to me. I had a dream once, a very vivid dream, where Van Halen booted out Michael Anthony and replaced him with Tony Danza. that made sense. It was they were doing a press conference and Sammy Hagar was like, it's like Michael is a brother. And he'll always be a member of Van Halen, but we're moving forward now with Tony Danza.
It's Van Danza, everybody.
Yeah,
it's good.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think now I would watch the Wailers season preview, but there's a possibility I would have gone with who's the Boston Growing Pains, just because there was a time in my life when I would watch those shows.
This is a question I always ask musicians, and I usually wait till the end. But since you brought it up, do you have a favorite TV theme song?
God, I mean, the Love Boat theme song it's pretty good if you stop and think about it. As a budding bass player, you always tried to figure out the Barney Miller theme.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard.
But as a complete song, the Growing Pains. Yeah, show me that smile again.
Show me that smile.
Yeah, it's way up there. So that one definitely sticks out.
I remember I love Barney Miller, and I remember my dad. We were watching it, and my dad goes, "That ain't a white guy playing drums.
Seriously?
And he meant it as a compliment, but it just sounded horrifically racist.
I get where he was going with it, but you're talking about the Barney Miller.
Yeah, because it's all like, it's got a real groove, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
It's a great one. Then what'd you do at 9 o'clock? You still watching the Wailers the whole night or anything else on Saturday?
No, I'm taking a break there. What I'm doing, I'm trying to get to 9:30 for Mr. Ed.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get there. How am I getting there? I'm not seeing much. So I'm taking a flyer on Barbra Mandrel. She's on, I think, for a whole hour. So I'm just watching the first hour, see what she's got. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know much about her, so I'm gonna go with her. I'm gonna ride her to get me to Mr. Ed. Basically,
a sentence I've heard so many times about Barbra Mandrel.
I mean, if you get, you know, 9:30, Mr. Ed, you're starting to drink at that point. That's what, I usually start to pour the whiskey around 9 o'clock. So it's hitting me. Yeah, you're gonna want Mr. Ed at this point. So that's.
And when you're drinking, you want a show that will have a scene where a drunk sees the horse talking and looks at his drink and throws it away. So it's kind of interactive.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my Saturday night. It's I think it'd be fun. I would enjoy that night.
That's a good night. Sunday, the Lord's night. What have you done?
I gotta go with Pump Up the Volume. That's gonna eat up the whole block, but I'm not much of a football fan anymore, but in those days I would have been, and you got my Pittsburgh Steelers playing, so there's a possibility I would have watched that, but I like Pump Up the Volume when I saw it in the theater. It's one of those movies that I want to revisit, so I would revisit it. It's
a great movie, and this was HBO used to premiere movies on Sunday nights, that was a big deal. They're like, this movie was in the theater 8 months ago, and now you can see it at home. And so it was the same year, and Pump Up the Volume the soundtrack was like a revelation to me.
Exactly.
You got Henry Rollins and MC5 doing the MC5 cover with Bad Brains.
Yeah. I mean, again, like that era was before I had ever toured or done music at the level I do it now, and so it was all just so fascinating to me. It's no longer fascinating to me. Like God, I want to be in that band and this band, and I wonder what it's like to meet this musician or that musician, and so like that encapsulates that outlook that you want to return to that place and you can never go back. And
that movie also taps into like the it's almost an internet movie, pre-internet, because it's like this kid doing bootleg radio and like on his own, and he's like a radio hacker basically.
Yes.
And he got Samantha Mathis. So hey.
I want to see it again, and again, I recall that the soundtrack was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Highly recommend Pump Up the Volume. Every year I don't know why I developed this tradition, but every year instead of the Super Bowl, I watch Pump Up the Volume.
Really?
Because I think I went and saw it in the theater instead of going to the Super. So now I just like throw it on. It's just like a thing.
Yeah, my interest in football is just completely waning. I mean, like the national championship was last night. I didn't give a shit. Like I do like sports. I'm a soccer nut, but American football is just way down the list. Now that said, last year I did a solo acoustic tour of Australia, and I took a red-eye flight, and I was playing a private party in Melbourne, and I arrived in Melbourne like 6 a.m. and had a show the night before. So I got to my host's house, and he was like, you can take a nap and all that. And so I went to bed at like 7 a.m, woke up at 1 p.m. I'm in Australia, and I wake up, I go into the kitchen, and he's like, do you want to watch the Super Bowl? I was like, Yes, I do. I didn't even know. I had completely forgotten, and it was the one. I guess the Chiefs came back, and it was. I'm like, I'm trying to wake up, and I'm still jet lagged, and I'm just like watching the Super Bowl in Australia, and it was nice, and it was good. So
best time to watch the Super Bowl is half asleep as a surprise.
Yes, exactly.
But I mean, you got in the Beforentine, as I've heard it referred to.
Oh, I love that.
You would play the UK a lot. Like you were there like half the year, it seemed. So did you get into like UK football or like rugby and stuff from just touring? And
sure, totally. Well, I mean, I've become a big supporter of Tottenham Hotspur, and when we were starting, like we had a couple hits in the UK, Danger, High Voltage, and Gay Bar, and the label we were on, XL, is part of the Beggars group, and Beggars has a publicity arm, and so they were like, do you like football? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And they're like, what team do you support? And I was like, I don't know. What team should I support? And they, doesn't matter. Just pick one. We'll get you pressed with them. And they did. So I was like, a couple of my friends supported Spurs, and I was like, who's Casey Keller the goaltender for? And they're like, Spurs. Okay, I'm going with Spurs. So then I was getting free tickets to Spurs matches, and they're like, I'm on their website, like rock star loves Spurs. Like, I don't love Spurs, and I'm not a rock star, but it was cool. And so, like, it was, and they were like, we haven't had a celebrity support us since Baby Spice. It's good.
I mean, Poison loves Spurs too, but different kind. But yeah, I think that was the first. You lived in London in the early 2000s, and I think that's the first time I saw you guys. But you were like all, on top of the pops and all this stuff and doing TV, and like, was that the first time you had done anything like that? Totally.
We went from being just a Detroit bar band for 6 years, really unable to tour. Like, we could go to like Cleveland on the weekend or something. But we had jobs. We had no money. We had no label. Nobody knew who we were. And then just because of the White Stripes, because the scene blew up, and we had this song with Jack on it, and we just went from zero to hero really quickly. And so, like, it happened so fast. It got really big really fast, and then came down to a much more manageable level, which I'm very happy with. But 2003 was a weird year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for many reasons. But you did get decent sized budgets to make really cool, weird videos.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was crazy what happened and how quickly it happened. But yeah, that was interesting, where, you're like, this football team is rolling out the red carpet for you because you've been on the radio, and it's bizarre.
You're like, I'm just some dude from Detroit. You know that, right?
Yeah. We need, Arsenal gets all the stars, it's like they were pretty desperate for somebody.
Well, I mean, if Baby Spice quits, I always think of you as her understudy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Do you remember? She had a song out, or a solo song, and it was a cover of Downtown.
Okay.
And the video is wonderfully terrible in that she clearly is using Downtown as a double entendre for oral sex. Uh-huh. But every time she says Downtown in the video, she points down. Okay. And it's like, you can always go down to, and I'm like, we got it. You didn't. We knew what you meant. Yeah.
I'll check it out. She presented an award for us once. We won a best video for Gay Bar, and she was the presenter. So I briefly met her.
She was very nice.
Yeah, most people are. To be fair, most people are.
And I believe now she's keeping bees.
As you do.
As you do. In pandemic, you become a day trader or a beekeeper. Those are the two options.
Yeah. So there's more options.
Yes.
But,
those are the big ones. Monday, what'd you do?
I was ready for this one. I've not seen this movie, but I'm going to go with I Come in Peace, starring Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
It was a preview, I'd go to Blockbuster, rent movies, and this was a preview of pretty much any movie I would rent. There'd be a preview for I Come in Peace. And what I gather is he's I don't know, he's a cop or something, but he has to go toe to toe with some sort of shape-shifting alien who the only word he learned is "I come in peace," and then he proceeds to eat you or something like that. So and of course, all I remember is that you'd see this, "I come in peace," and he'd kill somebody, and then the last line is Dolph Lundgren about to shoot him. Go, "You go in pieces." Yes,
that movie is two of the best. I don't even want to say bad, but just outrageously crazy action movies ever came out in 1991. One of them is I Come in Peace, which was originally called Dark Angel. And the other one is starring Brian Bosworth, and it's a movie called Stone Cold.
Yeah, I remember that. And Bosworth was huge for a while.
Oh man, that movie is amazing. At one point, this biker gang murders the entire Supreme Court. And so Bosworth, it's insane. It is the best thing. And I Come in Peace is perfect. It's this alien is actually an alien drug dealer. And he derives a drug that's produced by human brains at the moment of fear when they're going to die. So his whole thing is he comes to Earth to scare people and then like harvest this drug. And it's it's
coming back to me. Yes, that's right. That's right.
His gun shoots in the most 1991 thing possible, killer CDs.
Seriously?
Yeah, he has a gun that like a zip gun that like fires CDs at people.
Yeah, no, but I want to see it now. Yeah, it's all you're triggering like the plot and everything. But yeah, to me the big standout was just you're going
pieces.
It was like pieces. Yeah. Like, you're going pieces.
Dolph Lundgren actually excellent drummer.
Oh, no, I mean, he's like a Mensa member.
Yeah,
he's also I think he was like an Olympic fencer.
Yeah, he was Olympic kickboxer. He got into MIT, but then didn't go because he was dating Grace Jones.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm not messing around with Dolph Lundgren.
No,
he's had a good run for sure.
And I think MIT, the only thing they'll let you defer for a year for is if you're dating Grace Jones.
Yeah. That gets us to 9:30, and then 9:30 I'm watching Designing Women. And it's I like the show, but Celebrity Crush Annie Potts. Yeah. I love Annie Potts. Always have. I could look at her all day long and watch her act and Ghostbusters and what have you. So that's it. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Corvette Summer with her and Mark Hamill?
Of course I have.
Yeah. Man, you are a fan.
Yeah. He's trying so desperately not to be Luke Skywalker.
Yes. Yeah. And Annie Potts in that movie is playing an aspiring prostitute.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
It's a range.
But she's great. She's so funny. Her and Pretty in Pink. Come on.
Yep.
Man. I do want to mention there's a really weird ad here for a guy who I had totally forgotten about. But in 1991, I feel like he was on TV more than any other attorney, not attorney general, the whatever the doctor one is. Why am I forgetting the name? C. Everett Coop.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
He looks like Ahab.
Yeah. No, he was great.
He was on TV all the time, and he's doing a show on PBS in conjunction with Jenny Craig.
I got no problem with any of that. I mean, but I think not enough people do that. Like, you use your first name as the initial and then go with your middle name.
C. Thomas Howell, C. Everett Coop,
F. Murray Abraham. We should have gone with B. Boutros Ghali.
Yeah.
I think it would have worked better for him because everyone's Boutros, that's hilarious. And he's the Secretary General of the UN. He doesn't get enough. Everyone's like, Boutros. What's your third name? Boutros.
I'm B. Boutros. Like BA from the A-Team.
Yeah, if you're B. Boutros, he wouldn't have run into any. He would have got a lot more done. I think we really would have been. We would have had some United Nations at that point.
I had a business idea.
Blame him.
Yeah, you should blame him. I had an idea to have a company, and the service they provide is they're composed of failed comedians, 12-year-olds, and assholes. And what the company does is, if you're going to have a kid, you tell them what you're thinking of naming them, and then they tell you all the ways kids could make fun of them with those names, so you can weigh the thing. So I'm thinking, as an adjunct, we could have sort of a PR service that tells people if they should initialize or not.
Now's the time. Invest in Zoom.
Yep.
And that'll be your fundraising right there.
Yep. And then, if someone's like, well, I'm going to name my kid, I don't even know, Hank. And they'll be like, Stank, can you live with it? Can you live with it? Then okay.
That's a great idea. Honestly, that's fantastic.
So Tuesday night, what'd you do?
I'm gonna rewatch Internal Affairs. I like the seriousness of Andy Garcia. He's very, very, he brings a seriousness to his roles. With a nod to Canadians versus Wailers. I can't get enough hard for Wailers. So I would go with it, but I would be compelled maybe like during commercials or something to go see what the Wailers are doing. And a Ghost. The only reason I'm not doing Ghost is I was in a film class and they had me like choose 3 or 4 movies that were in the theater to write your paper on. And they were like, and we recommend that you watch whatever movie that you stay there or get like 3, 4, 5 viewings in. So I literally like sat in a theater and watched Ghost over and over and over, and like, you know, had to write a paper on it. So I've watched it enough.
around the third viewing of Ghost, you realize you actually want a movie about Vincent Schiavelli's character.
Yeah. And I mean, it was cool. I always look back to that day, just like sitting in the theater, and like I only paid one ticket. I just stayed in the theater and watched the 12 o'clock, the 2 o'clock, the 4 o'clock. Got out eventually, but
did you really get out though? It's still there, man. Some say he's still watching it today.
That's my Tuesday.
That's not a bad Tuesday. I would have had to watch Rescue 911.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen that.
So here's the premise of this show, not a comedy. It takes real 911 phone calls, which are public domain, and then has incredibly bad reenactments, not on purpose.
Right.
And it's hosted by William Shatner.
That's fantastic. I love bad reenactments, and a friend of mine in the UK is now producing, that type of show. Yep. And he's like, man, if you ever want to be in the reenactments, just you're always welcome.
Oh, you gotta. It's like Crime Watch or something like that.
I could be like the out of control husband with a gambling problem, and his friend said his mood was.
Oh, dude, you got to do it. Like this, a friend of mine was in one Unsolved Mysteries reenactment. He got killed by the Zodiac killer on Unsolved Mysteries, but this Rescue 911 tonight, it has an infant in Arkansas who is trapped in a minivan after being rear-ended with a log truck, and a Louisiana boy who had to think fast after his friend lost consciousness.
I guess I should have done a deeper dive. Maybe that will compel me. That does sound fun.
There's a ton of them up on YouTube, and actually they did Christmas specials and stuff. Like there's one where this kid's choking in a car, and a guy dressed as Santa Claus comes out of nowhere and saves him. And the real call, for some reason they're always Southern, but the real call, this woman's like, "My son's out. It's Santa Claus." It's like the weirdest thing. It's great.
All right, I'm gonna get on the Rescue 911 train. That sounds good.
I think you'll enjoy it. Wednesday, what are you doing?
Because of, I can tell you what I would have done. What I would have done is, because it's 1991. This is the Bad Boys. This is the Pistons. This is Dennis Rodman, Isaiah Thomas. They're playing the Celtics. That would have been a big deal. I mean, I would have been watching that at that time for sure. But these days, I'd go with Unsolved Mysteries and Nova. I didn't even see what the topic. Nova is just it's such compelling television. It's always well done. Unsolved Mysteries, like more reenactment. A little Robert Stack. That's soothing television right there.
So Nova that night is entitled "So You Wanna Be a Doctor."
Yeah.
And, I'm already on board with this episode of Nova.
I've never seen a bad episode of Nova. It's compelling. And those, on any reenactment shows like Unsolved Mysteries, you can binge watch those. You can go like 8, 9, 10 deep. And I have, and it's over and over again.
Yeah. And Stack was my favorite host of Unsolved Mysteries.
He's intense. He's so intense.
You can't. And I'll never, like, there's parts of my brain I could use for something useful, but instead in there is 1-800-876-5353.
What is that?
Unsolved Mysteries tip line.
And you have that committed to memory?
I have that committed to memory, and specifically in Stack's voice. Like, that's how I remember it. His cadence and everything.
If you call it now, would you get to talk to Robert Stack? Or
here's the thing. I don't think you could talk to Stack because they haven't invented it to dial to the afterlife yet, but they're working on it. But it's still active. Yeah.
I mean, if you remember it, you're not alone. I mean, you're never alone. Anything you think that like you're the only person, you realize there's people out there just like you.
Oh yeah.
People know that number. They're going to keep it. That number has value.
Yeah. I'm sure there's someone who has that like tattooed in Roman numerals across their back or something.
Yeah.
And if not, they should. Dinosaurs is on that night, which I just want to mention because it was sort of the last gasp of, it was started by Jim Henson before he died, but aired after he died. And it's a great show. And it's that I always thought that Henson was kind of a fuck you hippie. He was one of those guys who was like, "You fucking it up, man." And,
a lot of hippies are like that.
Yeah.
It's a weird, that's what I found is like, obsessive compulsive, anger, and yet also a hippie.
And that was Henson, and this show got so much subversive stuff in there, which if you don't remember, because this was probably aimed a little younger than you were at this time, the final episode of Dinosaurs,
I'm hearing of Dinosaurs. I didn't know about it.
Really cool show. Stuart Penkin, it's Dinosaurs. It's sort of like The Simpsons, but Dinosaurs live action. And in the final episode, because they're so selfish, they cause a new ice age and they all slowly freeze to death in their house.
Holy shit.
And it was a kid's show. It was on ABC. There was like a baby that had like a catchphrase. The final line in the show is the baby going, "Daddy, are we going to die?"
Well, I'm a big proponent of desensitization for your kids. I mean, you get all the. I mean, like, I saw The Day After when I was like 9 or 10.
Oh God, yeah.
That did wonders for me. I mean, I was traumatized, but like later in life, now I can go toe to toe with a nuclear holocaust and I'll be just fine. Yeah. And that's because I got it out of my system at an early age.
Yeah, and I imagine you've seen Threads.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Horrifying. Horror.
Like somebody's like, "Day Afters for pussies." Take some of this.
You can't front on the end of Day After them. Jason Robards and Robert Mitchum. Who is the other lead? Like in the wreckage of Kansas City, like offering each other an onion. It's so great.
Oh yeah. I mean, that is up there with the scene in Threads where that woman sells her body for 3 dead rats to eat.
Yeah.
And there was, did you ever get into the band Discharge? Do you know that band at all?
First time I hear of them.
They were like this 80s punk rock band, and a couple of them went on to be in Ministry later. But they were like this apocalyptic, angry punk rock band. And they had a song that just had all these samples from Threads in it.
Oh, wow.
And I had not seen the movie yet, and it's horrifying. It's like, what is this from? And it was that. Yeah.
It's good. You can there's so much you can do.
Yes.
You just need time, money, and a computer, and you can do anything.
It's true. And Baywatch is on that night as well.
I can't.
Even though they have a Hasselhoff song every episode.
That never appealed to me whatsoever.
It's terrible, but man, is it entertaining. Anything else on Wednesday?
Oh yeah. We did Unsolved Mysteries and Nova. So yeah, I think we're moving into Thursday now. Thursday was a little tough. This was the night where I felt like you have to watch television, gun to your head, go. So I'm making it work. Okay. Going with Mork and Mindy from 8 to 8:30. Classic show, and I think it always needs to be revisited. It's very unique in its way. And they're both, I believe, from Detroit. Robin Williams and Pam Dauber. I think they're both Detroiters. Literally running out of options at 8:30. So just going to the National League playoffs and watch it. I don't even know who the teams were at, but I'll do that from time to time if there's a mindless sporting event on. Maybe the playoffs, takes it up a notch. I'll see what's going on.
Yeah, it's a good thing to just throw on in the background.
Barely watch baseball these days. 9, we're going with some more Nova.
Same episode, so you're doing it twice.
And kind of like what we did with Mr. Ed, I'm just trying to Get Smart. So 9:30 Get Smart is on. I've seen every episode. It was one of my favorite shows as a kid. I think it's fantastic. I remember when the Nude Bomb came out, I was first in line. So Thursday we're just trying to get me to 9:30 so I can get my Get Smart on.
Is there a show that you think captures like Detroit well? Like that's because there was a bunch of shows set in Detroit.
Let me think of a show, but you know what? I was pleasantly surprised with when they did True Romance. Gary Oldman's character, Drexel. I felt like they got it right. I felt like, I'm not sure Beverly Hills Cop necessarily got it right. I don't know what shows were set in Detroit.
The movie Detroit Rock City.
I don't think I saw it, but I remember when I saw the scene with Drexel. I thought True Romance actually did an okay job.
Freaks and Geeks is set in Detroit. If you ever saw that,
did not know that. Yeah, I don't know.
And it instantly came up because the kids in that show in Detroit go see the Nude Bomb.
Really?
Because it's set in 1980, and they're like super excited to go see the Nude Bomb, and their parents think it's a dirty movie, but it's the Get Smart movie.
That was neat. And here's the kid that I went to go see the Nude Bomb with. We had like a sleepover and went to go see he was my buddy. He is now the president of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if seeing the Nude Bomb is what got him there.
I don't know, but it's like it's pretty cool. Like he went on. That's where he's at right now.
Yeah, I mean it'd be funny if someone was like, look. Everyone who was in that theater in that showing of the Nude Bomb went on
to do something.
tracked them all down, and like this guy owns it. It's just the whole thing of success. Thank you, Don Adams. Don Adams, who I love, had an amazing gambling problem, and as
that's fine.
Yeah, but he had to do as a result a lot of TV shows he would not have done otherwise, and he did this. He did this Canadian TV show in the 80s called Check It Out, where he plays a guy who owns a supermarket. Check it out. Yeah. And he was unapologetic about telling people exactly why he was doing that show. But there's some good quality Don Adams work in that show.
Like yeah, good for him. He's a working actor.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about the gambling farm though, but yeah, that happens. That's something I've never had one myself, but I could see how it could happen.
Oh yeah, especially guys of that age group in that version of Hollywood. Like,
yes.
Yeah, that's come on.
Yeah.
Anything else on Thursday? You're watching the game.
We got to Get Smart, and that'll take us done.
Yeah, you passed up Hunter. Although I do want to mention this episode of Hunter has a guest starring role by Neil Armstrong.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, that reminds me, guest starring roles and sports. Are you familiar with the Trammell and Whitaker episode of Magnum P.I.?
No.
Okay, yeah. So Trammell and Whitaker, the shortstop and second baseman of the 1984 Tigers, they were a big deal in Detroit growing up. Like, Trammell and Whitaker, every kid wanted to be them. And Thomas Magnum, has the Detroit Tigers hat. And so he goes... he goes to Detroit to finally see a Tigers game, and he's at a dive bar in Detroit, and he's just talking to the bartender like he's like, I got seats for today's game, and then the two guys at the bar, and he's like, we'll be at the game too. And, oh yeah, my seats I'm right behind home plate. Where are you guys? It's like we're between first and third, and he's like, okay, maybe we'll see you there. And then they get up and leave, and then he's like, wait a minute. There's no seats between first and third. And then he does gets the bug eyes, and the bartender's like, yep, Trammell and Whitaker. The best part is they're getting loaded before a game.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that was accurate.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
I do love seeing athletes guest star on television shows, and then you realize that acting is a skill.
Yeah, or not.
That's true.
Yeah, sometimes they pull it off. But I love that episode. That was good.
I mean, obviously, Red Sox would guest star on Cheers a bunch of times, so we had.
Oh
that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when I was looking at that Celtics game, I was seeing if it was a home game or not, because it wasn't. Because right after 91, like whenever after Bird retired and they had that team that no one cared about, we used to be able to just walk into the games, like they didn't check tickets or anything.
Oh yeah. No, I lived in Los Angeles in 1999, and I could walk to Staples Center. I was living like on the USC campus. I could literally walk there, and the Clippers tickets were like $10, and I was just going to Clippers games, and they were the worst team ever. Like they had nobody, and it was so much fun. I could just like pay $10 and watch NBA basketball, and I was doing it because I was a loser. I didn't know anybody. So.
But you're like, oh, this is what games were like before.
Yeah, I have no friends. I'm alone in LA, and I'm watching Clippers. I'm going to see LA Clippers games. So
you were living life like a divorced dad.
Well, that's when I wrote like half of our first album. Like I wrote Dance Commander, like walking back from a Clippers game.
Oh, really?
You must have been the dance commander, giving out the order for fun. You must have been the dance commander, you know that he's the only one who gives the orders here. All right, who gives the orders here? All right.
That was the inspiration. So the Nude Bomb and Clippers games is how you get there. Friday night, final night of the week. What'd you do?
Got to go with the Danza. So I watched She's Out of Control. Basically, if Tony Danza's involved, it's I'm not saying it's always gonna seal the deal, but it's a card. It's a card that you can play. But I remember my friend talking about vivid dreams with Tony Danza. He had one. He said it was a nightmare. And he said it affected him like all week long. That he had a dream that Tony Danza won Best Actor for She's Out of Control. He's like, I woke, like his speech, just like I woke up in a sweat and it's stayed with me. And it was like the most horrifying dream.
You guys are having a lot of dreams about Tony Danza.
Who played his daughter in that?
It was Amy Dolenz, Mickey Dolenz' daughter.
Amy Dolenz, that's right. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that movie is of that time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And then so that gets us to 9:30, and then at 9:30 I'm just putting on Club MTV and seeing what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Downtown Julie Brown.
That's right. Yeah.
She's wubba 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 and all over the place.
Yeah. So maybe PM Dawn will come on and
Die Without You.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, she's out of control. One of the best things with that movie. Fantastic Oingo Boingo theme song.
Yeah.
And Tony Danza in that movie, I forgot, he plays the owner of a radio station.
Yeah. It's none of it adds up.
You know what you've sparked in me is I want to see an action movie starring Tony Danza because we never got it.
It never happened.
That's what we needed. We didn't need.
He strikes me as the sort of guy who has probably tons of clauses in his contracts.
Oh, yeah.
He strikes me as a very particular guy, and he probably thinks he's a level or two bigger than he is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he's a big name. He's the only Tony Danza. He probably is a star in Hollywood, but I think he probably thinks he's like Kirk Douglas. You know?
Oh, for sure. And he's a song and dance man as well, which is hilarious to me.
Tony Danza.
Yeah, like he's all into musical theater, and he's like, I can tap dance, and
I had no idea.
Oh, you got to do some Googling and watch some clips because he is all about singing and dancing, and he's not great at it, but he definitely thinks he is.
Oh, see, okay, yeah, no, he's one to watch.
Yeah. Tony Danza, I think he's going to do good things.
Yeah,
he's going to make it. He's going to make it. I mean,
he could, like, he can. There's still time to have all kinds of comebacks, and it'd be like in a Tarantino film or something like that.
Yeah, he could do a villain role. Do you remember when he died and came back to life?
In real life?
Yeah, he had a skiing accident and was like clinically deceased.
I had no idea. No, I don't know that at all. So I guess, here I am trying to be some sort of Tony Danza expert. I got to bone up. I did.
I mean, have I told you about the miracle of Danza and the second coming of Danza?
Yeah, no, I know what I'm doing the rest of the pandemic.
Also, I will say maybe my favorite Tony Danza performance is in the Hollywood Nights.
Oh yeah, good call.
Which is great in that with Robert Wool.
Is Jeff Conaway in that as well, or am I just conflating that with Grease?
I think you're conflating it with Grease, but it was like, how many people from Taxi can we put in movies set in the 50s? But I think Michelle Pfeiffer's in it, and Robert Wool plays a character called Nude Bomb Turk.
Yeah, there you go.
That the band was named after.
There you go. That checks out.
So that is pretty fun. So that is the week. But to finish up here, TV Guide is not just informative. It has opinions and it cheers and it jeers. And I would like to read you the cheers and jeers of this week, October 11, 1991, and see if you agree or disagree with TV Guide's opinions.
Surely.
So this is a pretty good week. We are very split. It's 2 cheers, 2 jeers.
Okay.
So I'll start with a cheer. Cheers to some welcome news for fans of the late lamented ABC drama series 30-something and Twin Peaks. As we reported last month, MGM has entered talks with NBC on reviving the former as a limited series, while a theatrical movie based on the latter is currently before the cameras in Seattle. Both shows ended their network runs with lots of loose ends. We're heartened to see that just maybe they'll at least be tied up. The series faithful deserve at least that much.
I don't know much about 30-something. I know that the movie that they're talking about would be Fire Walk with Me. And to be honest, I saw Fire Walk with Me before I saw any of the television show. I went and saw it, the scene with Chris Isaac, Kiefer Sutherland. This day, I'm just compelled. And so immediately I was like, I have to watch. And so I got out of that theater and then I went to Blockbuster and just binge watched the whole, I couldn't stop watching. So that's I'm a big Twin Peaks fan.
Did you watch The Return?
I watched 4 or 5 episodes and then got busy with like touring and parenting, it's really tough for me to sit down and watch television these days, even with the pandemic, just because with the kids and stuff. But I would like to know more about that. 30-something. I never watched it. Is it with Timothy Busfield?
Tim Busfield. Yep. Yeah.
He's in Michigan now. I'm pretty sure. I think he lives like in the exurbs, like near Ann Arbor kind of stuff, I believe.
Yeah, he's married to Melissa Gilbert. Yeah, and they have a farm out there.
Yeah, and they were like, she was going to run for office or something. So yeah, I don't know much about that show. I never watched it.
It was like yuppies having problems, basically. But
Grand Canyon.
wasn't bad.
Grand Canyon is the shittiest movie I've ever seen. That movie fucking sucks.
Yeah,
it just sucks. Yeah.
It's like, hey, could we make The Big Chill but not good?
Yeah, exactly. The movie. It makes me angry, and nothing makes me angry, but that movie does.
I mean, Fire Walk with Me, as somebody who loved Twin Peaks when it came out, people hated that movie because it's a horror movie. Like, it's brutal, that movie. Like, the under the sycamore tree scene, that's like, you felt like you went through some shit watching that.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's very heavy.
And the show, although had moments like that, also had a lot of comedic elements and stuff that people liked. So when like normal people went to go see that movie, they were not prepared for what they got.
Yeah. Which is great. Which is great.
I loved it. Jeers to ABC. So they cheered ABC and now they're jeering them, which, hey, for watering down the movie A Fish Called Wanda for its network premiere. Bowing to pressure from various speech associations, ABC edited all the scenes involving Kevin Kline's character, making fun of the fact that Michael Palin's character has a terrible stammer. In doing so, the network cut some of the dark-humored movie's most darkly humorous moments. Both of the film's producer, Michael Schamberg, and its executive producer, writer, and co-star John Cleese expressed outrage at the movie and apologized to audiences for the cuts. ABC should be doing the apologizing. For what it's worth, Kline's performance, including his rude remarks about stammering, earned him a Best Supporting Actor nominee.
I mean, it was an integral part of the movie. It's a great movie. I don't know.
How do you cut that out? Like, I can't even imagine how you would cut all that stuff out and still have a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the network television was weird. I don't fully understand. But yeah, I agree with that, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an integral part of the movie.
I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to love the way movies got cleaned up, 48 Hours, Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. Like, there's literally like an exposition shot where they're like, they're kind of like walking down the street and their lips are moving and they just cut out all the dialogue. This is nothing.
I love edits too. Like, Repo Man's one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. And Alex Cox has a thing in his contract where he got to write the fake swears for the TV edit. So he replaced motherfucker with melon farmer and all that stuff. So they're all his writings. But there's a bunch of people who made a living just doing the dialogue replacement for some actors, including from Detroit, Dave Coulier. And he used to do Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So if you had a Richard Pryor movie on TV,
he would do that.
He would replace the swears. He was like, he specialized in doing non-swear Richard Pryor impressions.
Oh yeah. And so Dave Coulier, he is the subject of the Alanis Morissette song, right? Like that's well known.
Yeah.
So he inspired such a huge hit.
He did. I did a show with him and super nice guy, but everyone there was there thinking he'd be like Bob Saget or something. And so they're like yelling, just like, suck a dick. And the guys that he's like, I don't do Bullwinkle impressions, whatever. It was rough. It was rough. Cheers to USA Network's Tuesday Night Fights for coming up with the next great breakthrough in matchmaking. If this says it's Andy Griffith versus Blair Underwood, I'm going to die. Letting the fans decide who's going to do the fighting. Case in point, the cable network scheduled an October 8th showcase for up-and-coming junior welterweight Oba Carr. The only thing missing was an opponent. With 3 decent journeymen to choose from, and none of them head up shoulders above the rest, USA took the clever way out, determined the winner by a viewer poll, thus giving the whole new meaning to the old expression about a match the fight public really wanted to see. That's okay.
That got a cheers?
That got a cheers.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like they had a problem on their hands and maybe there's no easy way out and they're just getting some props for doing the least bad option.
That reminds me, there was a reality series in the early 2000s about boxing called like The Prize Fighter or something. And it was like American Idol for boxing.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. With MMA like taking over, boxing doesn't get the eyes that it used to, I guess. But But
I like to think someone pitched that as American Idol with punching, and then just it didn't come out as I thought. And finally, and this is one you mentioned before we recorded, as sticking out to you. Finally, jeers to Geraldo Rivera, who has come out with a kiss and tell all audio biography called Exposing Myself. The very same month, he's launching a new talk show. Apparently, much about Rivera's own life can now be told as well, and much of what he has to say is an exhaustive recounting of sexual escapades and infidelities on the part of the author. Rivera is entitled to a private life, and if he'll keep quiet about it, so will we. But since he brought it up, we can't help but feel that all of his crowing about his ex-lovers raises valid questions about both Rivera's sensitivity and his integrity as a journalist. Certainly his utter lack of discretion makes us doubt his sincerity and his credibility.
I mean, in the context of this is 91.
Yep.
We're in 2021. He's still around. He's still on television. He's a cockroach. He's he's a televised cockroach. And 30 years ago, I mean, this would be a strong move now, but 30, I mean, you know, and I think it would be welcome. Like he should have sat on this. I mean, you're playing that card 30 years ago. Cheers to that, because it's not about the content. It's not about how creepy it is. It's just, he just made a bad business decision. Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be allowed to publicly write a book about your exhaustive sexual conquest until you're over 65.
Yes. Yeah. It's insane. But you know, you have to applaud it on some level that, you know, I mean, he is unique. There's only one Geraldo Rivera. His it's like Jerry Rivers, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that?
He Latinized it.
I mean, everything about him is wrong and right at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know whether being a televised cockroach, like, just, you know, do you applaud that, or are you sick to your stomach? I don't know.
I think you can be sick to your stomach and have a weird begrudging respect.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too. But he's a weirdo. I agree. The jeers to me are just that he should have waited on that. He should have appreciated the value a little bit more, because it's clear it didn't work. Nobody cared.
No,
you remember Al Capone's vaults. You don't remember Geraldo talking about his sexual conquest.
No,
so it went nowhere. So I think he would have been better served waiting on it. Yeah,
like I feel like if he wanted to write that just for his own amusement, cool. Just wait to put it out. Do you know the DJ?
You think Geraldo, just wait 5 years and there's going to be Tripod and Angel Fire.
Yeah.
You just put it
Look,
up.
Dude, make your list. Fine.
What cities is coming?
Do you know the DJ Richard Blade?
No, I don't.
So he was this English DJ. He's on he was on K-Rock, I think. But he wrote an autobiography, and the audio version's the most unintentionally funny thing I've ever heard, because it's basically Alan Partridge, but the guy's totally serious.
Uh-huh.
And most of the book is about all these women he slept with. And he's like, I was teaching scuba diving in Norway, and I did it with all the Norwegian birds. Like, it's just this ridiculous thing. And then he also has this writing conceit where he'll tell you a story and then reveal who the person was at the end, like as a big gotcha. And there's such like they're all made up. And there's one where he's like, I hitchhiked my way down to London. A man picked me up on the way because he was driving to London too. He dropped me off at Tottenham Court Road, and I thanked Sir Richard Branson for the ride. Like, it's just like the most ridiculous stuff. But the sexual bragging is so funny. It's amazing.
I mean, it is funny what compels people to do that, and think that anybody cares, but apparently people do. I mean, for the kitsch value, it could be good.
That's true. What we need is to tie everything up.
Sure.
We need to do bad reenactments of sections of Geraldo Rivera's sexual conquest book.
I'm in. I mean, there's a separate Zoom call. I'll need some rehearsal.
We can make this happen. We'll get a Kickstarter going. We'll make a ton of money.
Okay.
Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it's been great talking to you, and I appreciate you taking the time. I'm excited. You let me know when this goes live, or maybe it's live now. Maybe we're not live now. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, baby, I see you in my TV set, yeah, baby, I see you in my TV set. I cut your head off.
there you go. Excellent time. Love talking to him. Again, check out their stuff if you haven't. Go, buy a ticket to one of their live events. You're not going to be disappointed. I guarantee you. I will personally reimburse you if you do not enjoy it. Speaking of not enjoying things, if there's something you don't enjoy and you want to let me know, you can do so at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com, or opposite, if not opposite, meaning that it's I can read at ken.com. Anyway, opposite meaning if there's something you do enjoy and you want to tell me, you can do that there too. You can also get to me on social media at TV Guidance or at Kenneth W. Reed. Again, let me know if you have guest requests. I will do my best to get them on the show. I hope you guys are well. Let me know how you're doing. You can email me at those addresses, shoot me a message on social media, whatever you want to do. I worry about you. I worry about you. Hope you're eating enough. You having enough food, getting you sleep, taking care. It's a tough year, but it is getting better. So we're gonna do it, guys. We're making it through. So we'll see you again next time for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
I've got TV guides. What? Maybe you didn't hear it so good. I've got TV guides.
Why do I have these?
I had a dream once, a very vivid dream, where Van Halen booted out Michael Anthony and replaced him with Tony Danza. You go in pieces.